Okay guys, so this will be the final stretch of this video. And in this final stretch, what we're going to do is we're just going to optimize our code to make it more user friendly for us and make it so we don't have to come back in here to adjust minor things like the array number and things like that, things of that nature. And so, to get started, what we're going to do is we don't want this just to be a regular number. We want it to be we want it to be a regular number, but we don't want it to be a number where we have to input. We want this to be a variable. So I'm just gonna right click and promote the variable. Simple as that. I'll just name it array index number. Cool. And I'll just start plugging this in. And I'll plug it in wherever this number is, and then we'll play the game and see what happens. We have to find one. Here it is. Looking right at it. Okay. So, go in here. I press the 1 key, and oh shoot, both of them turned to 1. Huh, wonder why that is. Of course I know why it is, but I wonder if you guys know why it is. I'll give you a second to think about it, and then if you want you can pause this video, think about it, and try and come up with your solution. Otherwise you can just wait like literally 5 seconds and you'll have your answer. Alright, cool. So, the reason why it's doing this and it's showing both numbers, both number ones, is because this Boolean array number is only set to go for the first number in the array. So if all of these are set to 0, it's only going to display the first number, which is element 0 in the array. So what you want to do is after it finishes one of these, you want to set this array index number to be whatever the number is plus 1. Now to be clear, there's no difference between using the plus 1 this way and using an increment. You basically get the same effect. If I were to do increment, it's the same effect. I just like doing it this way because visually it's more appealing for me and it's easier for me to read what's going on. But there's no difference, and I can use either way, and you can also use either way as well. Let's compile, let's save, let's see what happens now. So I press 1, and then I press 2. Oh, that's interesting. So, it recognized the first number, and it did the first number, but then it also did the second number. Why is that? Well, one thing, before I get into why that is, let's pat ourselves on the back, because we got to change based on the array number, and that saves us work on that front. And now we just need to get it so that it goes to the next number instead of just displaying the first number. Now, to show you guys why I did that, I'm going to go back to my original script. But first thing first, I'm going to save. Okay. So, in my script, I have this thing, is input correct? The reason I have this is because, and I have this boolean as an array, is because what this code does is, hey, if this key is good, it says is input correct for the first element to be true, which is great for us because what it does next, what we do next is For every subsequent one after this first number, I'm going to go down. In fact, I'm going to just bring this back up to where, ooh, I don't want that. That's not what I want at all. I'm bringing this back up to here, like so. Now for every subsequent script, what I do is I check, hey, is the input correct? I check and see if this, I get the is input correct boolean, and I want to see if it's true. But what I want to see is I want to see if the last input was true. So what I do is I get the boolean array index, and I subtract 1, and then that gives me the number, the last index number. If that last index number was true, then it checks to see if this works, and if this works, it goes to the new index. And the reason why we had to subtract 1 is because at the end of this first one, we add 1 to the array index. So if we would have just leave it as using the boolean array here, this number will always be 1 higher than the one that we want, 1 number higher than the one we want to get. So let me undo that. So let's go in here and let's do 2 things. Let's first make a new variable, and let's make it was input correct. No question marks, no exclamation point, just a simple question. Like so. And in here. So for most of these arrays, I've made these public. But for this one, I don't really need to see if the input was correct in the editor. What I do need to see is, I do need to make sure that I have all of the array values that I need in here. So I'll make it 8, 9, whatever have you, just in case. In fact, I'll make it 7, because 0 is also counted as 1. It'll just to make it count for if I want 6 codes or 8 codes, whatever I want. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to actually bring this a little bit further down so I can just work with what I have here. Is after this activates, and after it prints this string, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that boolean array that I just made to be true. And I'm going to go here, set array element. And I remember when I was first working on this, I was trying to figure out how to parse through the numbers for booleans, or the value for booleans, because the boolean is different. You can't set the boolean as easily as you can like set a number. And so what I just found was just set array element, and this allows me to set this to be true or false. And so I want it to be true. And then I also want to get whatever the index number is currently and set that to be true. So for this first one, it gets array index 0 and set this to be true. Then what it does is it does all this stuff, and then it sets the new array index number to be whatever the number was plus 1. And that's great. Now what I need to do is I need to, down here, I'm going to add another branch, and I'm going to click on this white line, double click it, and that gives me another execution node. I'm going to do branch like so, and from here what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this array, and I'm going to get the element, so I can just connect this to the conditional. and I want to check if the last array element number was true. To do that, I just get the array element number. I'm going to subtract 1, so make sure it always goes to the last array number, and plug that into here. Now, if this was true, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this stuff, I'm going to move this over or not, and boom, and connect that there or not, connect this here, connect this here. Cool. So if this was true, it's going to go on to the next part, and the next part is just what we had before, and it sets the new array element number to be true. Then it goes on like we had it, and the last thing we want to do is just set this to be to add 1. So now if we compare this to what we have up here, let's take a look at the first part. So it goes here, and everything looks pretty similar. The only difference is we have the do once node. You'll see why this node is very important in a second. But this right here matches up with what we have. We have the array index number, subtract 1 to make sure it gets the last number, and then when that's true, it does all the stuff that we have. So with that, let's see what goes on. So I can press 1, 2. Oh, it is still doing this thing. Why is that? Well, that is because of that little do once node that I showed you guys. And so let me actually, rather it should be because of the do once node. Let's just make sure. So just in case, if this was true, let's make sure we put it in the right spot as well. Yep. So if the input is true, let's do all of this stuff once. So it's gonna only one time set that to be true. Gonna set the text render to be whatever this is, and so on and so forth. And then we're gonna have the same thing happen over here. So it only does this once as well. So now let's see what happens. Inside here, 1, 2. And now it works. The reason why it wasn't working before is because even though all the code was matching up properly, without this do once node, it will keep only doing it for the first, it will keep only changing the number at the first array element. So this do once basically makes so it only sets the number once, then it goes on to the next number and next, so on and so forth. So yeah, that's basically it. That's the gist of the script. If you've made it this far, you now have all you need to make a proper passcode system. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to show you a couple of extra things that you can add to yours. But as far as this goes, you're basically done. Everything from here on out is just going to be visuals, making things look fancy, so on and so forth. If you want to stick around, you can see what else I have going on. If you have everything you need, I hope that you implement this into your games and make it look awesome. So, what I'm going to do is, I haven't saved in a while. I know it just saved for me, but I'm just going to save again. Because even though it automatically saves, it doesn't necessarily save the blueprint stuff. I'm going to save all this stuff for me, and I'll name this thing tutorial.